in this series in particular. Obviously, Taliyah first pick for IG is a big factor. It was banned away on the red side last time around, I believe so. And that'll be a nice pick to play around, at least in terms of getting your strategy correct for IG.
Yeah, this actually slipped my mind coming through this time around, because definitely first pick worthy. Again, it's only been buffed coming in on this patch. This champion already had high presence in the LPL coming into this, but Xiye looking to throw the gauntlet, go for some heavy trades in mid, and then wanting to match the proactivity that Mole is going to be putting forward going through. Mazel, I don't even know if it's worth trying to predict what they're going to go for because I just keep wanting to say Zeri, but both teams really ignoring it. Reminds me of LDL, because a lot of LDL series you see the Zeri actually slip through, and WE just going to go towards the Viego.
So at least there's some comfort in terms of like a meta pick coming through in terms of like Viego. I like to see that coming from WE because it sets them up a little bit better in terms of getting View off the ground himself. But I still need to see that team cohesion come together for them as Xin Zhao, just the choice again for Shun, and I think a strong choice at that.
And now IG probably going to want to look to their bot lane. I think showing support could be a little bit weird when W hasn't showed anything in terms of their bot lane, so would be able to just get seriously advantageous matchup. Things like the Senna, we have still seen IG be one of the teams that are willing to pick it up alongside V5, but no, gonna want to go towards that Gnar, which we talked about, right now. Feels like it is just so, I'd say, jack of all trades-esque champion that doesn't really struggle against anything. Taking it early in a draft is definitely a solid choice.
And also when you get setups like Zika did in game number 1, confidence to pick that pick again will be just fine. And I think the setup is so crucial, right? Like, you think about the zoning tools, but as well as just the AoE damage that's available from IG's side already with their first 3 picks, and it is pretty frightening. Now, the GP coming in will be a nice change of pace for WE in terms of a damage profile, and BiuBiu getting the pick.
Yeah, it does fine in lane. Your parlay outranges Gnar early on, so you'll just be able to consistently look to trade and look to scale and have a fine time in lane, and then impact the other areas of the map, because IG, like we saw in game 1, at least weren't playing up towards that top side. So maybe wanting to give more safety and security for Xing and Kedaya in the bot lane with the cannon barrage.
I still like the fact that at least you have some of that synergy I was looking for in terms of a global ultimate there. But the Senna will be banned away from Team WE. It'll be the Aphelios return from IG ban. And I guess we'll probably continue to focus on the bottom lane, I would expect, Leary.
Yeah, I want to see what AD carries get banned out, because Aphelios, other than the Zeri, was looking like the highest priority pick left open that WE especially would have liked to go towards, with IG taking that off the table. I mean, we have things like the Jinx still left open, Zeri, Draven now taking off the board. Lucian, Nami also would be a possibility if IG don't opt into taking one of those picks off the board. So we definitely still have a lot of different variants of bot lanes that are able to come out. And I'd say the top halves of the map so far are indexed very similarly into wanting to do the same thing, right? Both IG and WE having strong mid-jungle combinations with mid laners that want to be proactive on the map.
That's the crucial piece of the puzzle for me. I would expect it's going to be, unless a piece of it gets pulled away here from Team WE, it's got to be the Lucian Nami for IG. They want to go for more of that aggression that we saw them use so well last game. We do get the Zeri hover here from Team WE, realizing it's a very strong pick that's still left on the table, but there are so many strong combinations still left on the table. It feels like it will be the Zeri locked in for Team WE.
Yeah, you already hit on things like the Lucian Nami. We still have Jinx open, who's another thing we've seen match into it. And the last thing we started to see come out was there was like a little bit of Twitch going around when Zeri was being picked a lot, and just looking for a lot of those like cheeky assassination potentials early on with your ability to go invis. So I kind of expect IG to look towards one of those 3 options. Out of the 3 we listed, they've been highlighting the Jinx a lot, so they are just going to look to lock that in and give themselves a bit of an insurance policy as we go later on. A lot of DPS coming out between both Jinx and Taliyah, and I think the Nautilus lock-in would make a lot of sense, giving yourself some lockdown, some point-and-click CC to make sure Xing can't become a huge menace on the Zeri.
That's the biggest thing you always got to watch out for when you're going against the Zeri, is how much CC you have, and especially what kind of CC you have. We've seen the Camille, obviously a priority pick into the Zeri, but not going to be through this time around. Got to make sure that depth charge is on point and you can follow it up, because you got to take down Xing before you can take down the rest of the squad, it feels like, for Team WE, as they've got pretty beefy bodies and a lot of mobility, a lot of peel ability there, especially if they lock in this Alistar, which they do.
And now, yeah, both drafts coming together for WE, giving themselves a bit of safety in the bot side as well, with the fact of Alistar being able to knock, you know, if Wink finds an engage onto Xing, Kedaya always hopefully being able to knock away on, or if Shun is down in that bottom lane to make sure that things go according to plan. I feel like IG, though, overall, do have a little bit more presence early on, especially with their top side. Have a lot of plays available with what the Xin Zhao will be able to do, and just your ability to close the gap if they want to look to try to blow early sums on either Xiye and BiuBiu. Feels like you can get a lot of value. And then once we get the Weaver's Wall online, we know it's going to be a lot about trying to create numbers advantage and get to the play first. To where for WE, I feel like it will be a little bit slower. It's going to be a lot about, you know, can Xing land the poke with the Zeri over walls, get a lot of that good damage coming off from your W. Then if we get these like river skirmishes coming early, or like skirmishes in enemy jungle, I feel like that's where a lot of WE's like AoE can do quite nice, especially with things like the cannon barrage layered on top of the fights.
Yeah, I guess the big focus for me is seeing the differences in terms of execution that we saw from game number 1, especially because at the beginning of the day we were setting up the mid jungle duo to be so important, but then IG flipped the table on us, focus holistically on bottom lane, and going into this second game, we still do have a lot of tools in that bottom lane, but I do wonder if we get a little bit of a callback to that mid lane duo with the jungle, and especially with that mobility we're seeing from both sides this time, that'll be a crucial point for me in this one.
Oh, 100%, right? I mean, kind of, it doesn't even really matter about drafts in the sense that mid-jungle, just the fact of, like, how much mobility and, like, ability to move on the map that you offer will always be incredibly important.
Exactly. Now we see game 2 kicking off here. IG, again on the blue side, Team WE on the red, trying to push us to 3 games. I know I would like to as a personal treat for myself. It's almost my birthday. I feel like I deserve that. But it is going to be a fun one if WE can push us to the brink with the composition they've drafted for themselves, with a lot more stability, it feels like, from that game number 1 disappointment.
Look, Mazel, the only word I heard was birthday, so happy birthday, Mazel! Woo!
Hey, I still got a couple days of you know, being a youngin' and whatnot. Couple days. I'm counting them down slowly.
Sure you do, Mazel. But coming into the game, right, we can already see On started with the call, so very standard. Knowing you're not picking to like destroy this area in the laning phase, kind of pick it to match just the ability to be able to farm, because she shouldn't have too much pressure onto you, and then get to those item break points a little bit quicker. So for IG, kind of going with what we would expect so far. Mole once again going towards the Unsealed Spellbook to have a little bit more of that utility as the game goes on, and we can see both junglers pathing up towards their top side. So, you know, maybe might even get some early action around topside scuttle this game.
Yeah, especially seeing some of that change up from last game where we really just got full clear sides and then into the craziness bottom lane early on. We didn't see any of those, you know, unique jungle pathings that I typically look at Shun to grab, because a lot of the times you do get to see him go for this kind of more aggressive pathing styles. But I think with the way that they've played out and with the way they're slotting in Shun today in this series, where he's more that facilitator on the Xin Zhao, it works out well.
And again, it just feels like a good change of pace for IG in terms of just not having everything have to be on Shun, as we're having a lot of heavy trading down in bot. So IG being incredibly confident against Xing and Kedaya. And I'll just cite that interview one more time, that they said it's important that we can get through this laning phase, because we know IG are a team who like to play incredibly aggressive, and we can actually, I guess, see that in all 3 lanes so far.
It's not stopping any which way or form. Xiye getting some healing back, though, after popping those corrupting potions. We'll need it at the bottom lane, top lane, everywhere, just taking fisticuffs to the face a lot of the times here. I still think, obviously, we're waiting for the movement of the junglers in these first positions, but that's where I want to beg the question. When we're seeing so much aggression in these lanes, you know, I feel like you get a lot more of a pick of the litter here for both these junglers, in terms of each lane is kind of volatile to that extent.
Yeah, I think for WE, you're going to have options, especially once BiuBiu gets away pushed in, because then maybe you can play off that bounce back. You can already see Biu right now wanting to be aggressive, knowing that he's prio in top, and Xiye just took an incredibly good trade in mid. But at least not too many gank opportunities presenting themselves right now until you do get that bounce back on top side. And even Mole, as you can see in the minimap, is actually playing relatively safe to prevent those from being able to come through. So IG's laner's kind of doing a nice job, but Biu is still able to guarantee that topside scuttle, just with the fact that he did have that prio. Resources
still being funneled into On there. He gets the early scuttle crab. Very rare occasion for a bottom laner, but will be nice movement from IG, realizing, you know, Xun can't get across there that quickly. Want to kind of pick up the pace here. They actually, Xun not completing his back. Will go for a bit of an aggressive move on a full cleared red side. He's looking for this top lane gank. The back from View is going to be through. Will he see him on the end? Will he get the back off in time? Oh my God, he finishes the back.
Through.
Oh, this is so dirty. Xun might be able to find it. They got damage. Flash out from BiuBiu. Flash out from Zika. And will it be first blood? One more. No! IG do not capitalize on beautiful timing, and BiuBiu gets out.
No, it was so close, though, and that was some of the creativity you were talking about with Xun looking for that play. In the end, they just end up giving over 2 flashes for 1. BiuBiu has TP, so he's going to get back to this lane. It's a cannon wave, so he isn't missing too much. And WE fine with how that panned out on the top side.
It's actually huge for BiuBiu. A little bit of confidence builder early on there, and View's like, oh, so close to being there for that fight. You wonder what could have happened if it was a 2v2 instead of a 1v2. But we do see priority in bottom lane is there for Team WE as they have changed the game down there. Bit of a back coming in from Kedaya, so they'll get a reset on the 2v2. But with Dragon coming up and that bit of early priority on the Dragon from last game, when we come back from this replay, we'll see if they are setting up for it.
And we see here, right, Xun, very cheeky, waited so long to make this work, is able to get right involved, finds a knockup, finds the W damage. But yeah, not able to connect, and you could see his Q still on cooldown for a few more seconds. So sadly for IG, not enough damage to find the play. And again, had they not both burned their flashes, maybe then it could have been a worthwhile trade, but BiuBiu got out just fine. And we can see still up in CS, didn't miss anything on that wave with this TP.
We'll take that all day long. We are also seeing a couple just pings coming out from Team WE around the Dragon Pit. They obviously have vision control around that neutral objective, but knowing that they do have that control, View is looking to press up into the enemy side, and especially this top lane against Zika, who does not have Gnar just yet. They're bringing Xiye up here, and this is some of that mobility we wanted to see, but the ward will spot View out early. Xun is right here on the side. This is turning into a 4v3 if IG can get here in time, but Team WE sniff that something's going on and get out.
Yeah, good for from WE because Wink being incredibly proactive so far, and oh, they're going to look for an engage.
Get the engage here onto View as well. Flash comes out. Weaver's Wall splits the fight a little bit here. Mole getting chunked out as well, though. Xiye is into the fight against Wink. It's a trade back. BiuBiu gets 1 first blood and second blood to Team WE.
Yeah, and we just got to be real for IG right there. That was not it. That was not the play you needed to look for. We'll get the replay, but I mean, like, they don't know that it's going to end up being numbers advantage for the side of W with Kedaya coming over, but even the way you went, Xun was separated. It's not even a 3v3 that is happening right there. So nice job by WE to punish the mistakes coming through. But you can see here, right, they don't know that Kedaya is coming, but this isn't even really a 3v3 because you're splitting up Xun from being able to join in. Xiye, having level 6, able to just go over the Weaver's Wall, and you isolate the members of IG, turning this into a numbers advantage. So, like, I can see the idea of them thinking, hey, like, we have the ability to look for this fight, we have the tools available, but with the fact that Xun getting separated, not working out in the end.
It did not, and now you find about 1,000 gold lead for Team WE, which is perfect for them in the setup and trying to play towards some of the scaling factors, but as well as just not losing early. Lyric, not losing early in the game and having such a pressure point against IG. This is a great start for Team WE and such a turnaround from game number 1. And it's the kinds of things like this that make you have a little bit of return to the Mazel's Hopium Emporium.
I feel like we've seen from WE this split that if they can get through laning phases, that they can be a competitive team. That, like, they have an idea of how to play the map and like they can look for these brawls and play for objectives. Typically, their early laning phase is one of the hardest parts is IG.
They can't get the combo. They didn't get the chompers down in time.
Yeah, so WE going to be able to walk away just fine from this. We do have Rift Herald up now, though. It's 8 minutes. You can already see View being up there. W are the ones with Prio and mid, but IG will be able to move their bot up first, and Zika also having push and top side. So IG might be able to find that numbers advantage a little bit sooner, but we'll see how fast W can actually burn this one down.
IG, I thought maybe they just turned on the Dragon, but it does look like they just want to full commit to this Rift Herald to bring everybody up, see if they get caught in transition a bit. But Team WE realize they see a lot of bodies moving from IG, pull away from the Rift Herald. No neutral objective just yet, but IG still committing to the move up here.
you've already rotated your bot lane, right? That was the correct thing that IG did, is they committed to sending Xin bot to get the wave pushed in, allowing IG to get more people up here first. The problem is, now BiuBiu has pushed, so IG trying to put some threat on the GP so they can have the freedom to walk into river.
This is so questionable. This is going to be a very, very tough fight here as well. We'll see as Rift Herald engaged on by... Oh my god, Kedaya's just dead. He comes into the game. He's immediately out. Shun goes in, and I don't know actually who got the Rift Herald, but it's Team WE that's taking the fight. Reset for On, though, but it's still WE moving forward. Xiye getting the resets on the Spirit Rush, and Xing flashed it over the wall. The Tectonic Shove will be there, as Seismic Shove, rather, and it's Xiye coming in to spike the volleyball on IG.
And now Zika just waiting for his doom as he is surrounded by the members of WE. He's taken down. IG, it looked close in the fight, but WE managed to pull it back. Xing left untouched the whole time. We saw views starting to pop up with some of those resets in BiuBiu. I mean, the AoE damage in those small, confined spaces is so much.
So I'm pretty sure Shun got the Rift Herald, because I think if WE got the Rift Herald, they would have grabbed it. Nobody has the eye.
We can see here, I mean, the play comes out from IG. They find the pick straight onto Kedaya, but then Cannon Barrage kind of forcing IG to walk up. You can see Xing doing a nice job of initially repositioning. Then Xiye lands a nice charm, keeps going forward. Because once Taliyah's cooldowns are up, like, not really too much you can do until you do get the Seraph's Embrace and can spam them more freely. And then you're left in this position where IG are just funneled under this turret.
Yeah, just who's going to get the red buff and blue buff at that point? It is Dragon over to Team WE, though. So you got the Rift Herald that wasn't picked up, at least for IG. Team WE gets the lasting neutral objective in terms of the first Dragon of the game for themselves. Still huge victories early on for Team WE. And then going back to your point of if they can survive the early moments of the game, it does feel different for the team. So far, they're driving straight and steady.
I'm curious to see what the gold leads are in the individual lanes as well, because we're at almost a 3K gold lead for the side of WE, and we can see BiuBiu, Xiye, and Xing being the benefactors of those kills. The three people you want getting kills are getting kills. We already have an Everfrost for Xiye, so he has so much threat in this mid lane, even just 1v1. Mole has to be so conscious of him spirit rushing in and using that Everfrost and looking for a potential 100-0. So right now, both teams sending a lot of reinforcements around this bottom half of the map.
Can I just say the Ahri pick has been pivotal in this series so far, right? Just the mobility, but as well as the damage profile that's just coming out of this pick. It has been, you know, night and day, right? Seeing Xiye on the pick compared to game number one, obviously different pick than the Ahri in game number one for him. But being able to see this pick be so pivotal for both these teams makes you wonder just how important this Ahri is in the meta, but specifically for Team WE and for IG.
I do feel like the Ahri pick is obviously super strong, right? But IG did start letting that snowball with the earlier play when they went for the Weaver's Wall and split themselves up. But hey, WE will take those every day of the week and show what this pick can do with some kills. So now kind of taking a page out of IG's book, having multiple members hover over, which is allowing Xing to pick up more gold.
Xing
more
can't stay that long, though. He just gets locked up. Shun's coming in now as well. Xing gets very, very low, but nice engage from View. Separates them. The Heartbreaker might have bitten off a little bit more than they get to, but Shun goes down to Xing, and Xing's right back into the fight. He's getting a double. He might even get the triple at the end of the day, and he does, though. He's trying to get the resets. One more auto. Xing, you got to get it. You got to get the kill. One more auto attack. Well, if it actually hits, he doesn't get it. Okay, well, he gets two at least, and Team WE come out on top yet again.
And we saw the game changer there was View being able to get down and involved in the fight. Because like you said, looked like Xing may be overstaying it, but Kedaya even had been pulverized into the Chompers himself. So I was like, oh my god, this is all going to go wrong for WE. The engage comes through. Keep your eyes on Kedaya. Right onto the support. He's now on the Chompers too, but once View gets involved, we have a nice knockup from Kedaya, and then View able to get some solid damage off, Xing having enough to finish him off, and then once the possessions come through and the resets can start happening, WE just clean up.
What else did I say? I stated in the draft, it's nice to see BiuBiu with a global ultimate, and it might have not done the most damage, but it was definitely helpful in a moment like that where the communication from Team WE calls for the Cannon Barrage, and they get something out of it. Now IG are looking for something in top lane. BiuBiu, he might have used the ulti bottom lane, but he's going to get some pressure towards himself at top. Zika is stacking up the Gnar. Flash from BiuBiu would be returned by Shun. Here goes the Weaver's Wall as well. Mole just wants to finish the job here. Who's going to get the kill in the end? It'll go to none other than Zika.
How can they not give it to Mole? Mole and BiuBiu, former teammates, former brothers in arms on that 2020 V5 squad. Would have been nice to get a little bit of, I don't want to say vengeance, but you know, the 2020 summer V5 topside was definitely not the highlight point of that map at all. But hey, Zika takes him down. BiuBiu, solid job to him, almost being able to circumvent that and actually made them use a lot of tools.
He did, which in that kind of situation, you'll take what you can get, I feel like, and that's what he got. I will say, looking at item completions a little bit, though, we did just get Kraken Slayer completed for On. We will also have the transition of bottom laners into mid lane to transition that pressure a little bit more. Another Dragon coming up in 50 seconds with a Rift Herald in 35 seconds. A lot of options on the board here, Lyric.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking at the top side for Herald because in my mind, for WE, they have enough vision control to try to make sure that neither goes to the side of IG. Like, you can group up in mid and then kind of see where IG are posturing and where they're getting their wards and just look to go contest them at that objective. Second Rift Herald, not as valuable, but if they can start really opening up this map, WE just going to be able to take complete control. But you can see now they're doing that. They're kind of hovering around where IG is to not allow them to take anything.
Yeah.
Because this map right now is WE's.
Yeah.
IG should not be allowed to have squad.
At all. And I think, to me at least, it feels like we're one really big team fight win for Team WE away from them just snowballing this game. Because they are in a big advantage here, and it's about how IG try to navigate that, I guess, is the best word to prove for it, because I think Team WE have a lot of those, you know, go tools that you're looking for, right? And you're looking around this Rift Herald now. We're getting a big move up from the Dragon Pit of Team WE to try to contest this. I don't know if they're going to make it there in time. It was the second Dragon picked up for them, and the Rift Herald goes over to IG.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to fight right. They didn't just want to give this one over, and it looks like they actually might not. Because like we said, IG should not be allowed to have this. WE definitely much stronger right now. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just look to go towards Herald first and maybe find the fight and then pick up the objectives off that. But now going to be able to use the pressure to hover up towards topside. And sadly for IG, you were getting nowhere close to that.
Shun is going over on Kedaya. He's trying to get there. There's the headbutt back, though. TP's now coming in. Mega Death Rocket doesn't get the kill into Kedaya. You really needed to get excited there. But View goes down in return. Xiye trying to catch on flash. He's over the wall. That's huge. Charm connects, though. He gets some damage back from Xiye. 5 strong from IG to the mid lane.
IG managed to find a pick. Kedaya getting away on a sliver of HP, though. Could have been a few more. And heck, if you take down 2 members right, that could potentially pan out into some sort of objective. But IG will take any small semblance of gold they could take with the deficit they're at. Now just going to be able to go back to sides, pick up waves, get things in order before we start pushing into enemy territory for vision. That should be WE, though, since they are still the team in the driver's seat. We can see how all this pans out. Kedaya just waiting, and he's spotted by the sweeper from Mole. Seismic shove comes through, some solid damage, and shouldn't waste no time trying to get on top of him. Kedaya actually has to flash away and somehow survives on that HP. But then WE, our separated View left on his lonesome, so IG can turn and find that one kill.
So I understand.
Oh!
What?
This how BiuBiu's dead.
Yeah, he is? Oh, wow. Okay. Zika is pushing top lane now as well, freely. Feels bad, man, I guess. Yep, there's his dead body under the tower, and Bounty goes to IG, and all of a sudden that gold lead is only 3,000.
Did he get solo killed? Oh my god, he got solo killed.
Oh, there it is. Literally from nothing. It's just the setup. Oh my god.
Yeah, has that sneaky play set up where he comes, gets a solid amount of damage off first, had red buff on top of, you know, already being at the Triforce and plated steel caps, and just running a BiuBiu down. He didn't have the cannon barrage available.
All right, something really quick before we get to any more action, before we get to any more seriousness. This has to be the first game I've ever seen that both Rift Heralds do not get picked up in the same game. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that, Lyric. It's actually crazy, and it means that IG have lost a lot of the pressure that they fought so hard for, right? They haven't been able to use those turret-breaking Rift Heralds. Luckily, they have a turret-breaking Gnar, but I still think it's something big to highlight when we're looking at the difference in this one, because IG are a lot closer than you would think.
IG definitely have a lot of power to be able to take fights in terms of that they have burst. So if one member of WE is too far, but they're going in.
IG might have been a little bit too far on with the nice little moves over the wall. This is huge. On could get the excitement, but that's a heartbreaker to end his spree. At least BiuBiu gets the reset, and now he's the one getting excited on the side. Ultra Shock Laser will not connect. Zika trying to get Mega, will not connect on the Xing. He needs to get back to his teammates. Xing flashing in. He makes the successful jump, and then WE good clean house on IG. A triple kill for Xing, the ADC of Team WE.
WE finding the ace. Now they can start pushing down some of these towers from IG. This gold lead is only going to get steeper and steeper for IG to have to climb. And WE, they bring it back. We said, hey, this looks like a 3-game series. And both teams definitely bringing the fight. WE trying to pick up their first win, and IG trying to get a bit of momentum as the season draws closer to its end.
Gotta call into question that move from Zika. I don't know how he got so separated from the team, but that was a very interesting fight for IG to opt into there. Was started off by WE. It is Shun trying to save On's life. The Heartbreaker comes through, though. Perfect timing.
Yeah, but still, On does end up going down. Like, sure, you find Xiye, but look how low they're left just from the damage coming out from members like BiuBiu and Xing over the wall. Because here, all 5 members of IG, 4 members being up, but once you're able to get over the wall, once some of these resets start coming through in that W, it just means that IG are going to go down. So On got separated, got picked off, and then the fight being left in a very precarious position for the side of IG.
Really good stuff in terms of piloting that one for WE. Now they got to move in to the Dragon Pit here, as they'll be starting up in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and we can see, right, this is the power of the Zeri. Even if you don't have first move in terms of control of the space, throughout these Ws,
Unbreakable.
Kedaya,
They're going in. Triple headbutt pulverize, and they've already found Wink. They're separating the fight, and it's an easy one. IG are eviscerated by Team WE. Mole gets one back, and they're able to trade View and Xiye there, but it's still a team fight victory for Team WE, and this will be 3rd dragon of the game.
And just look at the difference in items, because Kedaya literally said, I do not care. I will face tank all of this, be half HP. We have an item advantage for AD carry. We have an item advantage in mid lane. IG just got absolutely bursted out. The confidence from WE to know they could take the fight was great to see, because we're going to go straight into this, right? They know IG are here. Kedaya's just like, I get chunked. I'm going to pop the ulti, and I'm going to run them down. Huge 3-man knockup able to come out. And I mean, Wink was right in front of our screens, 100 HP, suddenly down to 0. Xiye taking on 2 members at once allows Xing to be able to clean up the front line from IG.
Yep.
And then, well, Zeri W, what do you get to do, Mo?
I'm getting frustrated. I'm actually getting a little bit peeved to some extent that, like, the blatant disrespect to let the Zeris through. Like, we have seen time and time again the reciprocation of the Zeri popping off and getting kills when it's let through. I don't understand how many times we have to see this pick get through and just dumpster people for it to not be let through. I mean, 9-0-8 on Xing, who in game 1 was non-existent, it felt like, and all of a sudden you just get this insane superhero performance from him. This champion is actually insane.
Let's remember that neither team cared about this in game 1.
At all.
Neither team cared about this pick in game 1. There's a reason why we see it banned literally every game. But even for WE, like, props to them, because they were punishing IG a lot earlier than, like, the Zeri pick became relevant, right? A lot of it was coming out around that top side, especially coming from mid-jungle, of punishing some of the over-aggression coming out from the side of IG. And when you know IG are going to play that way, it feels like a solid game plan to be able to come through. And now WE going to use all the momentum that they have, turn this into a Baron. And IG, they really only know how to go forward. So they're going to make their way over and look for a fight again.
Xiye just finds the perfect, like, yeah, IG, I mean, On flashes over the wall. There's not much they can do. Mole's already down. WE is going to get the resets here. Xiye is looking for Wink on the side as well. Seismic shove comes through from View, and that's all she wrote. A double kill for the jungler of Team WE, and even more soreness to wake up from for IG, as it's potentially Baron on the table for WE.
IG are definitely one of those teams that live by the, like, MLXG copy pasta kind of motto of they only always feel like they need to or can take the fight. I mean, at this point, right, you're so far behind, it's like guaranteed you're going to lose this game. So anytime you see an opportunity to flip and can hopefully put the enemy in an uncomfortable position to make a mistake. I mean, power to you, but WE aren't going to be slowed down. Now already having Xiye in the top side to push out in and Shun. Oh my god, how much is getting soloed by Xing?
I mean, at this point, anytime an IG member is on the screen with a Team WE member, you got to think something bad's about to happen. For me, it's looking back at what we established for this Team WE squad, right? At the beginning of the day, we were putting a big highlight on BiuBiu and seeing what BiuBiu brings to the table other than Beishang. And now we're seeing Kedaya come in game 2. Much different performance, obviously not on the Renata, but on the Alistar. And Team WE have all of a sudden resurged to life, but not necessarily in the way that we were saying. I think that's been like a big growth for both these teams in this series.
For WE, I mean, we've seen the potential before in terms of being like they have game wins. They have been able to even take down some top teams, RNG being the example we cited earlier. So we definitely know it's there under the surface. We know they have a few players who have shown great performances in the past. And like, it would surprise me if they did finish without a win against, even whether if it's like flipping this series against IG and they end up the winner, or Ultra Prime or RA.
Yeah.
Like, definitely doesn't feel like they are at the level that winless V5 team was at.
Xiye tries to go for the flash play, doesn't get it, has to use the spear rush away for Shun, but that was a cheeky little play from Team WE as they'll continue to press down. About a minute and a half left on this Baron. And they're looking at inhib towers here. They're looking to use the strength that Xing has garnered. And they're trying to get some damage on the Zika here, who almost has Mega Gnar. A big ulti could do it. Wing. He tries to go for, oh my god, they're dead! They are just dead! Those are laser beams, those are cannons, those are every kind of weaponry that you could ever think of, because he got Deadpool on the side of Team WE. Xing's come to town and he is full effort at this point, and Team WE are pushing us to the brink and pushing us to 3 games.
Number 16 versus number 17 in the LPL. You always knew it had to go the distance, Mazel. Seems like IG by a bit of time, but let's be real, it is just a matter of time before WE end this game.
At this point, Dr. Strange found all those possibilities forward, but there's only one that exists for Team WE, and it's a victory in Game 2 with the substantial lead that they've gotten. Wink, you tried. You got charmed, and you got insta-gived.
Oh. Yeah, just seeing what the damage that's able to come out from BiuBiu in this fight. Chunking them down so low. And then Xing, I love the constant aggression he's willing to pull out, flashing forward to make sure he can keep following up on that kill. But if it wasn't for the Weaver's Wall, right, they're going to look to keep just brute forcing it through the bot side. But now we'll just have to reset. They're up to an 11k gold lead. They have Soul. This map is theirs, Mazel. What do you want them to take next, Mazel? Tell me, what do you want to see from WE?
I want to see a pentakill.
Send 5 members on a Zika?
Since this is the only time that we'll see Zeri in this series, I want to see a pentakill for Xing. That's what I want to see, because there's no way that at 9-0 and 12, either of these teams let this pick through the next game unless they can get it absolutely sure. And it's just been oppression from Team WE. Night and day for IG from game number 1, where they were just in complete control. It has been like this holistically for Team WE, and now they're moving to even further break down the base.
They're just going to keep pushing, which means IG going to have to come and make their last stand. We salute you, brothers.
That's the last stand, but you got to go down with the ship. The violins are playing. It might be the saddest song in the world. They're trying to get the engage back, but the health bars are too big. They're paying them to go down with the ship at this point, and it is a huge victory in the team fight for Team WE. On to the last one left. They'll see if they can get him. They can't get him into the fountain. BiuBiu wants him at the end there, but they won't be able to find it. It is WE pressing down top lane on, actually, might just get the kill here on BiuBiu. He missed the zap. He doesn't get it. He tries to pull back. Oh, he gets the kill. Is this it? On? Okay, he might go down to the burn, the cleanse. Oh my god, On is just breaking some ankles here. That's huge. It's the base, though, that's in tatters as Team WE turn onto the mid inhib. It looks like they've actually really lost their confidence.
Does this really not end here?
This is what happens when a team with no confidence gets a huge advantage like this.
Oh yeah, WE not wanting to risk it. The fact that On getting excited, putting down a bit of damage, not able to close that distance, buying more time. Despite the fact that it feels inevitable, IG keep finding ways to put off their demise. And who knows, when it comes to like number 17, number 16, like these lower tier teams in our league, you never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
Some crazy miracle can come up and flip the game for IG.
We do have,
I wouldn't bank on it. As WE gonna just funnel down mid lane now.
I mean, full build for Xing now. We've seen him be so aggressive with the flashes forward, but now with the full build, got to feel even more confident. The cannon barrage comes through. Is already just dead. Xiye just gets him down. It's a slow and steady roll into the base of IG. They try and take down Shun, but it doesn't matter. Super minions are flooding in. Zika does not have Mega Gnar, and Wink is just there as a bystander. Zika taken out almost in the nick of time, and Team WE will push us to 3 games in our last Super Saturday of the LPL Summer Split.
You know, Mazel, I said maybe a miracle would happen. Sadly, I don't believe in miracles. So WE, of course, able to come out with the win. And I mean, we can see from these two games, right? Neither of these teams really having the ability to be able to play from behind, kind of just brute forcing or like smashing their head against the wall until something works out, and the other team always able to benefit. Still, though, to give props over to WE,
Yeah.
I mean, heck, they were the team willing to pick up the Zeri first and foremost. Like, the fact that IG have been leaving it open and haven't cared, like, that's kind of on you. And then we saw Xiye doing a nice job of keeping up the proactivity, finding a lot of these picks early on, punishing the mistakes coming out from IG. And then once we got to the team fights, I mean, the Zeri was doing so much. BiuBiu as well. For where these fights were happening, a lot of times kind of in or around one of the quadrants of the jungle, he just was able to get so much damage off in these very confined small spaces that we'd see a lot of times as the fight begins, like 4 members of IG are at 40% HP.
I got one thing for you, buddy. I'm putting back on the Chad glasses because it's all about Kedaya. I don't know. Kedaya. Chad Daya doesn't work too well. Kedaya, man, the Alistar gameplay. I got to ask in all actuality. The pick's very different from Heels Renata in game number 1. But I feel like he was a huge difference maker in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was, right? Like, the engages he found in team fights were extremely nice. I still feel like the win, in my mind, from WE kind of banks on the early game that they were able to have. And the bot lane, I think the nice thing that came from the bot lane was typically with some of our lower tier teams in the LPL, it's about can they transition it to a win. And Xing and Kedaya, like, they got past the ball and they ran straight to the end zone. So, I mean, for W, it's just kind of weird, right? Because we had 2 pretty decisive stops where when you stop, it's like everyone kind of looked on point from WE in this game.
But that's what we love about the LPL, because guess what? That sets us up for a beautiful game 3. And that's just how it always happens for some reason. You have these games, especially in a series like this, where coming into the day, we knew it was going to go to 3 because you never know what to expect with games and teams like these. But you get those decisive stomps, and then game 3 typically just ends up in a slaughter fest between both teams. Either that or a very one-sided affair, and that makes me really excited to see, either the bounce back from IG after controlling game 1 so heavily and losing game 2 so heavily, or if WE, as we've stated so many times, can use this game 2 win to springboard into their first series win of the summer split.
It would be great to see WE do so, as I just wonder how this will impact picks and bans. I kind of am on the same wavelength as you. I hope this game is a reminder to both teams, like seriously both, even WE who won on it, of like, hey, maybe this Zeri champion shouldn't be allowed to be played. And then even things like the GP and the Gnar prio coming in, because in game 1, IG actually took away the GP in the second rotation. This game, it was able to go through. Despite the loss, I mean, Zika felt like one of the more solid pieces on IG in this roster, so maybe that's a consideration for WE once again of like, hey, Zika's been having a pretty good time. He even solo killed BiuBiu in this game, so I think there's going to be a lot of things like that when we get back for game 3.
I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see the culmination of this first series of the night. Make sure you don't touch that browser, as we'll be right back.